Hello everybody, this is Steve, your everyday guy here, and in today's video we're going to take a different approach. What we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about installation of a fish finder. The way this video is going to be different though is in most videos you're going to see how people are installing the fish finder or chart plotter, however you want to call it, onto their boat. But I know that very few people have the exact same boat, and before you start planning on how you want to install it, you just kind of want to know the basics, like what hooks up to where. That way that gives you an idea of how the cords need to be ran. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the Garmin Echomap UHD 73 SV with the 54 transducer. There are some out there available with 56. Some of you are wondering what the difference is. I recommend you check out YouTube for the comparison videos because there's a big difference between those two. Mine just happens to come with 54, so that's why I've got that one. In addition to that, we're also going to go over the installation of Garmin Livescope. So that way you can see, hey, what do I need that goes with Livescope? Maybe think about getting that and wonder what the extra install is for that. So before we roll into that, we're going to start out with the Echomap, and then make sure you stick around to the end of the video. That way you can see the installation of the Livescope with the Echomap. Before we get started with this video, please take a moment and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way when new videos come out you are notified, and also hit that like button. Let me know that you're enjoying watching this content. So the first thing is when you open the box, what you're going to see is the base components. Before we get started, one thing I want to tell you about is not included is this base right here is the Scotty base 00368. That's how I use it to mount it to my boat. And what it does is it'll just mount right into one of these. That's why I've chosen to go with that. That fits really well for my boat. The other thing is that right here on my transducer, this is the Boatcraft transducer mounts. This part here is not included. That's a separate feature. You don't have to have it. You can get one that fits your boat better. Maybe you want to mount yours directly to the transom. I've got an inflatable boat, so I mount that right off the tube. So when you open up the box, you're going to see your cradle. This is your mount that goes with it. You're going to have the fish finder units. Most of them, I believe, come with a hard protective cover. That just snaps right on, snaps right off. Then you're going to see your transducer. On the transducer, it's going to have the orange end. This little cap here is actually a two-piece cap that does not come with it. There's a very specific reason why Garmin does not pre-install it on there, and that's because this takes up quite a bit of space. So I leave it off there. That way, if you need to fish your cable through some tight areas of your boat, you don't have this on there. You can fish it through, and then once you fish it through, you simply snap the two pieces onto there. The other thing it's going to have is you're going to have your power cable. On your power cable, you're going to have 4 wires that come out of it. Now mine, I've already installed mine and gotten mine all ready to use. There's a black wire, red wire. That's the 2 main wires for your power cord. And then you're also going to notice there's a brown and a blue. And a lot of people are going to wonder what that is for. And that's for an older communication to connect with other devices like radios and stuff. Most of those don't use that. They'll use the NEMA 2000. But if you have both equipped those, you could use those. For me, what I did is I simply put those into a protective heat shrink, just to keep them getting broken, and then I heat shrink that there. In terms of how I connect it to my boat, I'm using this on an inflatable boat, so I take my boat down for the winter, inflate it back up in the summertime. So what I've chosen is I've gotten just a standard SAE power connection, and I've soldered that into place, and I've heat shrunk it to make sure it's watertight. And then that way, when I take my battery box out of my boat with me, it simply plugs up, or it just simply takes and plugs directly into here, like so. So the first thing we're going to do on this is we're going to look at the back of the cradle. On the back of the cradle, you're going to see this port here, which is a power. You'll notice it's the one that comes that does not have protective rubber boot over it. The front does have protective rubber boot. That way, when you take your electronics off the boat, but you can leave this on there, this probably isn't going to get stolen, but if you leave this on there, it'll definitely get stolen. So you just put that right on there, and that keeps any water from getting in there when it rains or anything like that. So what you do with the power is when you look at this, it's going to be 4 plugs, and you probably can't see it on the video, but there's a little notch right there. That lines up with the notch that is on this, and that's actually down at the bottom, so that just slides right on there. One of the other things you'll notice for the purpose of this video, what I've done is I've taken a knife, used zip ties to kind of roll these up, keep these all nice. Zip ties are one of your best things you can keep on your boat. I recommend you keeping lots of them. And the reason is that your cords can get tangled and stuff. This keeps them all nice and neat. You just zip tie them up, and I use this to clip it. I keep this right in my battery box along with a few extra zip ties. That way if I need to adjust some, I can. So we have got the power cord connected. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to connect the sonar. So for the sonar is the orange one. And remember, you're going to have to take, this is a 2-piece plastic thing. They just snap right together. And on the sonar, it's also got the same notch where you line it up. And that just fits right into the back. And tighten that up, and then you just turn it, tighten it, and lock that in place. So in terms of the Echomap, that's literally all that's needed to hook it up. You've got your sonar, you've got your power, get that mounted right into your boat. You've got that set to go. You can see, now one of the things I like about zip ties is when I've got this installed in my boat, I zip tie all my cords together. That way it gives them, you're not putting all the strain on one cord. If you turn it or something, it puts equal strain on it. Therefore, you're less likely to break those. And then for the front of it, this simply comes off. See that little groove there? That's what fit between there. Take your fish finder, plug it right in there, pull it off, and that's really just the basic simple hookup for the Echomap. I mean, it's about as simple as it gets. I know when you first look at these, you wonder, hey, do I need a professional to do it? Do I not? As you can see, it's not overly complicated to install. It's something you can do. Now, a lot of you are thinking about getting the Garmin Livescope and wonder what all goes on with that. Well, let's take a look at that. I'm going to put this over here for now, and we're just going to slide this over here. So in the box for the Garmin Livescope, you're going to get a few different things. So the first thing is you are going to get a power cable. Right in there, it's going to be bare wires when you get it. As I've talked about before, that is a type of power connector I like to use. I've soldered it, and I put heat shrink to make sure it's watertight. So that's the power cord you're going to get in the box. The next thing is your data cord. Now on the data cord, both these ends are the exact same. Doesn't matter which end plugs in the box and which end goes to the Livescope, because you're going to get this adapter. Now why do they do a 2-part adapter? Well, the reason is look at how big this end is, and look at how big this end is. When you're going to fish this through your boat, through those tight places, put this in before you connect this. That way you don't have to worry about it getting snagged on anything, and it'll go through a lot faster. Then of course you've got your transducer, and look at the size of this transducer mount, or this transducer cord and all those connections. The reason is it's so clear and requires that much data. The last thing you're going to have is your Garmin black box. So on here, you've got 3 ends. You've got your power, your monitor, which is going to be the head unit, and then you've also got your sonar. So what you'll do is, I like to hook the power up last. That way I don't have to worry about any shorts in any of these connections, so I don't get them lined up right. So as before, there's always going to be a little notch, and that's going to tell you how to line it up. So that plug, first one I'm hooking up is a transducer, and that just plugs right into there. And that gets it powered up. One of the things about this black box, it does not have an on and off in and of itself. So the way you power it on would be through an actual switch on your boat. Either that or it's going to wire directly in and be always on. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our communication cable, and that's going to go right into the monitor port. And that's going to, we'll just screw that right into there like so. Looking at our notches, make sure those all line up correctly. And remember, those notches are in there to make sure you're not breaking pins as you put them in. So we've got that one hooked up. And then once you get a fish through, you're going to connect it to this data port. And you're going to look for your notches to make sure you get them lined up correctly. Once those are in, you just slide that in and then tighten that up. And then last but not least is going to be our power cable. So the power cable, we're going to take and hook that right into there. Make sure you get your notch lined up correctly. Put that in there and tighten that up. And this model that I'm using here is just the Livescope system. Since I bought this, they came out with the Livescope Plus. It does have better resolution on it, so that's something you might want to think about when you're looking at price-wise. So now I've got these installed. I'm just going to set these over here to kind of keep them out of the way. And we'll bring our main unit back over here. And we'll keep our transducer here. And as you can see, we're starting to get lots of cable clutter. So this is where zip ties become your friend, because you can zip tie it up and make it all look nice. When you look at this, you notice it looks like a Cat 5 cable. That's because this actually is a Cat 5 cable. So if you need to do an extension, you could use regular Cat 5, or you can go to Garmin's website and buy the extension cable, either one. So from here, this just plugs right in like so. And you notice it's all hooked up now. So we've got our 3 cords. This right here is the NMAE 2000. That's a communication system. You can use to hook up to the motor and all sorts of gadgets and stuff to be able to get readings on the display. And so we got that hooked up. One of the things you'll notice when you buy this is there's no Livescope app on it. And the reason is that the minute you plug this in and power it all up, that automatically appears as an option. So it's not anything that requires an additional software installation. It's plug and play and picks right back up. But if you don't have this turned on, it's not, or hooked up correctly, it's not going to show up. So if you're powering this up and not finding that, I would recommend you take a look at your install, make sure it's in there. So that's really all it takes just to install. Thank you for taking the time and watching this video to the end. I hope you found it both enjoyable and informative. Be sure to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of the video. I always appreciate your comments and try to respond. While you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe so you get notified when I upload new content. If you want to know even more, check out my website, edgadventure.com. I also have a link to that and more in the description. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.